I spent my life as a connector, as a speaker, as a therapist, as someone who talks a lot. And along the way, I've realized that the most important thing I said were in the moments I chose to stay silent. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you why silence is the only food that you need for your soul. My name is Fabienne, and I created this channel, What Feeds You Defines You, to help you become more conscious and intentional about what your mind, body, and soul consume. And yes, I wanted to tell more about silence today because I feel like in our world right now, there is so much noise everywhere, and we forget sometimes to go back to the basis and the basics. And the basics are ourselves, living with ourselves without the noise in order to be able to recognize the messages or to hear our intuition or to really find out what we truly want, need, and who we truly are. I remember um, when my son Theo was little, he loved to go on car rides, and sometimes I would be in the car with him and just be very intentional into saying, well, you know what, Theo, now we're not going to say anything, we're just going to enjoy silence. And he would be like, yeah, mom. I'm like, yes, just enjoy the silence, watch around, look at the trees, look at the other cars, look at what you see, but just be with yourself and don't say anything. And he used to be very good at it, right? And it seems like nowadays, with especially with social media, I feel like scrolling is so easy. Netflix is so easy to jump in there and find something that you want to watch and binge watch it for the longest time. There are also a lot of people who don't feel comfortable staying silent in their own home. So always background noise, always music, always the TV, the computer, the videos, everything. Everything is just, it's as if like we want to um, overstimulate our brains. I don't know if it's because we are afraid that it might stop working one day, um, but sometimes I feel like it's way too much, especially with social media, especially with publicities, especially with the algorithms will always show you what you want to see on social media, on the web, everywhere, right? And so I feel that sometimes, especially with social media, with all that noise, you have the impression that you're busy, or you have the impression that you are doing all these things while in the present environment, for example, like there might not be any noise, there might be silence. And so it's just like blurring. Yeah, I can say that. It's blurring the clarity that you can get in your brain when you strip away all that noise. And with what I said at the beginning of the video, sometimes like the most powerful things that you can say or communicate to people is when you decide to stay silent. I'm definitely thinking about leadership, or how people can respect you, right? So I know that you already had that experience being in a group and having someone always talking. That person who is always talking is not always the person that most people respect, right? People respect more people who speak when it's meant to speak, when it's the right time to speak, not when you have to fill in the noise, right? Also, there are some relationships that, let's say, if you're not great at putting your boundaries and always filling the space with noise, with saying yes, with doing whatsoever for the other person, well, the moment that you decide to stay silent, hold on to your position, say no, and not do anything, along the way, what you're teaching and helping people understand is that your time is also valuable, not only theirs. What you believe, who you are, is also very important, and that you stand by your values and that you establish your boundaries. And so sometimes silence doesn't necessarily mean you don't love the person or you want to break that relationship forever, or sometimes it's just because there's a time in your life that you need to regroup, that you need to recoup and strip away from all that noise and go back to yourself. And having too many of these other people's opinions around you might not help you get to that answer that you're looking for. And so in relationships, sometimes some people might take it the wrong way if you decide to put on your boundaries, and it shouldn't you shouldn't be responsible for how people react to that. In fact, the most important thing is that you stand with your decision and that you understand that this is for your own good, and that yeah, it's going to help you become more authentic with the way that you are living, right? And so yes, with leadership, with respect, silence, I strongly believe is very important. If I think about, let's say, my time in sports, when the coach wouldn't say anything, this is where it was very powerful, because you would understand that, let's say, he wasn't satisfied with the way we were playing, or um, there are powerful moments that can be experienced within the silence that someone decides to fill the room with. So filling the room with silence, right? Um, so yeah, to me, that's why I wanted to share this video with you. Is sometimes we might not feel comfortable, let's say, sitting next to someone and not saying a word. But that, when it happens, is actually pretty beautiful. Um, this is the experience that I can have, of course, with my spouse, with my kids, because I understand when they need, let's say, their alone time, or when they don't feel like speaking. Same with them towards me. And you could be next to someone not saying anything, but feeling their love, feeling their presence, feeling their support, feeling their everything, because you understand that this silence does not mean I'm not interested into what you're doing, or what you or who you are, or whatsoever. Sometimes silence lets you create and enjoy the space. Lately, it happened to me with one of my friends. Um, she was actually speaking to another one of her friends, and they were having a very intense moment. And that friend started crying, and crying, but crying of joy and all that stuff. And so I was a witness to this thing, and I decided not to intervene, because I felt like this was a very powerful moment between these two people. And also, I actually thought myself, I was so happy for that person that was sharing the news and everything. And I just stood there and just like smiled and look at them, right? And then later that day, I messaged that person and I said, yes, in the afternoon, I saw that you experienced something very high, very intense. You seem to be happy about it. I just wanted to let you know that I was holding space for you, and um, whatever it was, I was happy for you and all that stuff. And that person replied into saying that she felt my presence and my love throughout the whole thing. even though I was just standing there, a little bit more away, and letting them experience the whole thing. And so, yeah, sometimes, many times, silence can be so powerful. And so, I truly, sincerely invite you into seeing, like, in which areas of your life right now that is very crowded and noisy, and how you could strip away that noise. And also in the things that you eat, especially the North American way of eating. We eat all the time. We snack. We and sometimes along the way, I realized that my whole digestive system felt way better when I gave it time to rest. And so I'm a very proponent of intermittent fasting now, and I fast between 12 to 15 hours, 16 hours sometimes, depending on the days. And sometimes I feel like I need more of a reset, so I go for 20 or 24 hours of fast when my body needs it. And I have to admit that it's done wonders for me. The fact that I was giving my system a break. So our bodies need a break sometimes, also. And plus, the more that I feel that I give my body that time, the more I am aware of the signs that my body give me, and the more I'm also able to react to these signs. Is it serious? Is it not serious? Do I have to adapt this? Do I have to sleep more? Do I have to eat less of that? Do I have to rest more, exercise more, and stuff like that? And so, yeah, silence is powerful, and silence is the thing that will feed your soul the best way possible, because it's the only way, it's actually the most effective way, I think, that you strongly connect with yourself and who you are, and you gain clarity over everything that you live for, what you strive to accomplish, what you aim to believe, who you are as a person, who you want to be surrounded with. And don't be shy about that silence. Don't be negotiating in the name of what would other people say, because now more than ever, I understand that if I do not shine as my authentic self, if I do not honor who I am, and if I do not respect what I truly need, then what I give to others, or the person I show up as, is not truly myself, and that makes me inauthentic. And so I have to do conscious efforts each and every single day to respect that. And yeah, I'm evolving as a person each and every single day. And I felt like this was a topic I had to share with you, because silence is underrated. I think it's underrated, because the more we have stuff on our calendars, the better we feel. Uh, the more we have friends, the more we talk, the more we this, the more we that. Bottom line, I feel like the less you have that, the less you have these distractions, the more you are connected to yourself, to your intuition, and to the gem that you are for this world.